let me get to my points about Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. They just basically proved, as far as I'm concerned, that, you know what? They're the gold standard. They are the gold standard. From Lacob to Myers to Steve Kerr, right down to Steph Curry and his leadership and this franchise, they are the gold standard. 4 titles, okay? 6 appearances, in the last 8 years. You just can't say enough about what they're doing and what they have done. Steph Curry, unequivocally the MVP. He was sensational, showed up last night and closed the way. And to answer the question directly in terms of being surprised, this is what surprised me, y'all. I expected Boston to come out the way that it did. Maintain a lead, and if Golden State just hovered around, Boston would collapse. Boston was going to have to beat them by a mile in order to win Game 6. That's what I said prior to the game. I never saw that 21-0 blitz coming. I never saw, them going from a 12-point deficit to a 15-point lead in less than a quarter. That's a 27-point turnaround. I didn't see that happening a majority of the time with Steph Curry on the bench and Jordan Poole doing what he did. That shocked me, y'all. That's where I'm coming from. That surprised me.
Am I allowed to talk now, Mr. Stephen A?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't want to interrupt you because you told me. I get it. Perk, I think you and I are going to be aligned here in this answer. Was I shocked that the Warriors closed it out in Boston? You're damn right I was shocked. You're damn right. Especially, I personally feel, and I know that Golden State deserves all the praise in the world. They are a dynasty in the making. Steph Curry will be one of the top 10 greatest players to ever play this game when it's all said and done. If not, we can talk about him being in that conversation right now. But Boston has given away the last 2 damn games.
Yeah.
They've given it away. If that's having 22 turnovers in this game, and it all started off, Big Perk, the first possession, when Al Horford posted up Klay Thompson, I was like, oh, I think they got it figured out. They're going to beat them down low with points in the paint. They're going to punish them. They're going to play inside out. That small lineup they started with Otto Porter, that wasn't going to be conducive to them winning, right? They were playing that way. So then when I see Marcus Smart posting up Stephen Curry, there you go. When I see Jaylen Brown, them playing inside out, he's knocking down outside jumpers. There you go. But then all of a sudden when Golden State starts to make a little bit of a run, what does Boston do? They start playing outside in instead of inside out. They start trying to match the three-point shots, and they get lost in this track meet. Now, there were so many things, and Marcus Smart, Stephen A., the other day, you said Marcus Smart was a huge pivotal piece. I literally last night found myself thinking, do the Boston Celtics need to make a move for a guy like Malcolm Brogdon, who at least can control some of the tempo of the game, who at least is going to actually give you, and I know this is a defensive player of the year. I know this is a guy that has carried so much weight on this team, and I love Marcus Smart's story. But I really, KP, started to think to myself last night, who on the court for the Celtics has the highest basketball IQ and that can translate to the game? I was like, is that Al Horford? Is that a big for the Boston Celtics? Why isn't a point guard saying, no, Jason Tatum, you go down here and you drive. Stop shooting jump shots. Be aggressive. There were so many plays last night. I'm watching the game. I'm like, it's Marcus Smart on the court. He has a turnover. He doesn't run back to get a contested shot. There are times at the end of the game, there was no screen set, and he just melted on it. It was like, go ahead, Al Horford. You stop Stephen Curry. I'm like, what am I watching? So, yes, I was completely shocked that the Warriors closed it out in the fashion they did in Game 6. In a game that I saw Boston literally quit. I saw Boston quit, KP. That was shocking to me.
They did quit, and I'm not about to dive in on Marcus Smart. Jason Tatum deserves majority of that blame, and I'll get into him later. But was I shocked? I wasn't shocked. I was nervous before the game. Now, I thought that Boston would have won in great fashion. I really did. I landed in the city of Boston yesterday, and I had great spirits. I said, listen, there's no way that champagne is going to be poured on the face of Lucky, right? And it happened, okay, on the face of Lucky in the Garden last night. Here's what I want to talk about. When you talk about having one of the greatest coaches of all time, the Golden State Warriors have that. When you talk about building from the ground up, when you talk about Draymond Green being a second-round pick, when you talk about plug and replace, going from Harrison Barnes to Kevin Durant, now to Andrew Wiggins, it's guys that were on those other championship teams that when they left Golden State, they only stayed in the league a year later, a year longer, and they're now overseas. That goes to show you about the culture. We was talking about how Andrew Wiggins did, like how he was almost considered, a failure because he wasn't living up to the standards of being a number one pick. Now all of a sudden, the tides have turned. The culture of the Golden State Warriors is one of the greatest cultures I ever seen in my lifetime, in my NBA lifetime, and I think they have one of the best coaches in NBA history. And was I shocked yesterday? One of the greatest, in NBA history. Now, shout out to Steph Curry, shout out to Klay Thompson, and shout out to Draymond Green for holding it down and being that culture and getting it out the mud.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.